Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of Mocktail Minutes. This is Bailey.
And this is Brianna.
This week, I am drinking the Just Ingredients Elderberry Lemonade. It's a probiotic complex drink. I mean, it's decent tasting, but I like it for all the benefits. It's not something that I would like crave to drink all the time, but you get the benefits with it. So,
Yeah, that's good. Like tolerable. Have it during cold and flu season, help your immune system. Yeah.
yes. But I'm
Um,
also not like a huge elderberry fan. Like, I'll do like a spoonful of elderberry syrup, but when you're drinking 10 ounces of it, it's a little different.
yeah.
We have some
Yeah.
around my house. So.
Like I don't mind the taste of it either, but I'm also not like I know people who will get like elderberry tea and they just love the
Mhm.
taste. I don't. It reminds me of people being sick.
Maybe that's it.
So I don't love it. I'm doing some coffee today with the Vital Proteins chocolate collagen, but I saw that they have pumpkin spice now, which I'm gonna get it to try. I'm not a huge fan of pumpkin.
Mhm.
So it has to be really, really good. So I'll report back. And if I think it's really good, then it's probably amazing. But my husband loves anything pumpkin, like day one of PSL. He was at Starbucks. So worst case, he can have it. But I like to put little flavors of collagen in my coffee, especially as we're heading into like the cold months. That's just how I sweeten it. So
Yeah. Makes it easy and you get extra collagen. Have they always had the pumpkin spice flavor?
see, I don't know. I've always known them to have vanilla and chocolate. I think they did like a seasonal one last year around Christmas, like a peppermint, but I've never seen them have pumpkin.
I used to think I was a pumpkin like spice latte person. I think I'm just a pumpkin person and then I'm like an apple cinnamon person.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do like apple cinnamon.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm gonna try it. I'll report back. If I like it, it's probably super good pumpkin because I know some people are iffy about pumpkin.
Don't fail everyone on this report
I
because
know it'll be different than the Olipop, which I had one yesterday, the watermelon lime, and the whole time I was drinking, I was like, this is delicious.
yeah.
It's so good. They have a new one, by the way, like a Mountain Dew flavor. It
Uh,
tastes just like Mountain Dew. I hate it because I hate Mountain Dew, but it tastes just like Mountain Dew.
do you like Sundrop? I've
No.
never had a Sundrop.
Huh?
Have you had Sundrop?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like Mountain Dew, Sprite, 7 Up. I do like Sprite if I'm sick, but it has to be like McDonald's Sprite because you know how it's just like overly carbonated, it just like burns.
For you. Yes.
That's it though.
Yesterday I did tell Josh, I was like, you know what sounds really good? And he's naming all these things that I typically, and I was like, a sun drop. It's like, what's wrong with you? It's like, I don't know. I never ended up getting one. I was like, it kind of sounds good.
Yeah. It's probably like your lack of sleep. Just kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, sounds good.
What can I do to zap my system?
Yeah, what can I do just to bring me a little bit of energy?
Yes. It was really sad. Yesterday, we have a smaller fridge out in the garage, and that's where like my sparkling waters, my poppies, all those my fun drinks are. And I was like, why is like red all over? Well, the back of it was freezing and it exploded like eight of my poppies, which is
Oh
really
my.
sad because they're kind of expensive.
Yeah, they are.
So yeah.
That's
Yeah.
horrible. So they just got too cold and they exploded.
Mhm.
Super fun.
Yep. All over the fridge.
Well, that's probably not coming out.
Yeah, I kind of just left it for now.
It's for another day. It'll be fine.
It'll be easier to clean when there's less in it.
That's a good point. So just
Everything. Yeah. Today we are starting I think we're gonna do a three-part series on work-life health balance. We did a poll recently, and this one got the most votes by far of what you guys want to learn more about. So we broke it up into three sections. Part one, we're talking about the foundation of work-life health. Part two, we're going to talk about managing health with your busy lifestyle. Part three is going to be about sustaining long-term work-life health balance. Because if we're just focusing on we can do anything for 3 weeks type of mentality, well,
Yeah.
then you're only going to do it for 3 weeks, and it's kind of pointless, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So we're going to give you all the things and then also teach you how to keep it going.
And I think this one is popular because it's a common barrier. I feel like people are constantly like, I want to make better choices. I want to lose weight or I want to get healthier, but I'm just so busy. I don't know how I would do it. I can't fit it in. I can't balance it all. And it really is like a fine balance. And it's not that you can't do it. It's probably that you've never really been given the tools to understand how to do it and you've never put it into practice, if that makes sense, because life gets busy And it's always like, oh, when this stops, it's going to be easier. Or like when we get to this, it'll be easier. And then it never is. It just piles on. And you, especially as a female, I feel like, not that males don't listen to this, but especially as a female, you kind of take on a lot of the family roles and the relationship and the kids. And then it just feels like you go more and more and more and more on the back burner.
I agree. And I think sometimes it can feel like a lot of what I hear is like, I just don't have any motivation. And I think this kind of comes from the same area of where we just always say, I'm just stressed out. Where and maybe it's not that, it's really not the motivation part. It's like you're saying, we don't have the right tools. We've never been giving a strategic way to implement these pieces.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know exactly what we need to implement. We're just overwhelmed by everything. And I always think it's helpful to have an outside perspective of, okay, this is what's actually going on. Because a lot of times I will talk through, I mean, sometimes I break down someone's daily schedule. I'm like, okay, this is where we can fit it in. This is where we can change this up. And like, I didn't even realize that. And it's because we get so stuck in autopilot that we forget to just take a step out of that autopilot and start being more intentional with our day. And that is what is going to make a huge difference, is just what are our intentions behind everything. And so I think when like defining work-life balance, I don't necessarily think it's about creating the perfect balance where it's like 33%, 33%, 33%. I mean, that doesn't equal 100, but it's like 33 point whatever. Yeah. a third, a third, a third. Yeah. And so it's not about each one or a third. It's about being able to manage and prioritize just different aspects of your life that allow you to move forward with your goals. It's going to be more of like a consistent approach to everything. And it's going to kind of, your pie is going to adjust a little bit. It's not, maybe sometimes it's 33% all the way around or a third all the way around, but sometimes maybe it's just cut a little bit different and we pay more focus on work or we pay more focus to life. But we always have our foundational pieces down. We always are giving a little bit of focus to each one of them. And I think that is key to it as well.
Yeah. And being able to like adjust, I think that's what it is. And for a lot of people, I think it's looking at yourself and your goals as important or as, I don't know, with as much attention as you do your job. Because for a lot of us, you're doing your job. You are showing up when you're supposed to, you're doing the work, you're working extra hours, you're thinking about it, you're putting a lot of time and effort into it. And so starting to think about yourself as I am just as important, I'm just as much of a priority, and then learning how to adjust. And you're already doing those things, just most likely not with yourself. And so I think it's important, especially if you work full time. It's important for everyone. And I know we're going to get this comment of like, well, my life looks very different than yours, or my life looks very different than Megan's if someone's watching Megan's stories, or very different than, whatever. And the number one thing I think you need to stop doing is that self-sabotaging behavior of I'm never going to be able to do XYZ because my life doesn't look like so-and-so's. It's especially if you like are comparing yourself to someone on the internet. You show a fraction of your life, right? And so it might be very simple to be like, oh, so-and-so is able to do this because they don't have a full-time job or they work from home. And it's like, well, you don't really know that. And that's keeping you stuck in that rut, that self-limiting belief of like, I have a full-time job, so I can't do it. And I would say if you have a full-time job, it's even more important to balance these things, or else you're going to get really frustrated, burnout, that sort of thing. So step number one is just realizing like, it doesn't really matter what everyone else is doing or how I'm never going to be able to do it because my life doesn't look like that. And just thinking, how does my life look and how can I make this fit in? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, like find your own groove. I think we can get stuck into doing something like the other person does. And that's what gets us stuck because we're just constantly trying to be like someone else. Like Anna and I have totally different lives. We don't do the same things. Like she worked out this morning. I did not work out this morning. I'm going to work out later tonight, but that probably doesn't work in our schedule. That's why she did it this morning. Yeah. So it's all just creating different balances of understanding what works for your life. And it is super essential because like Brianna was saying, it's going to prevent burnout, number one, because constantly being in this like go mode without self-care or rest, you are going to burn out. You're going to be exhausted. But when you have this balance, it's going to essentially like replenish your energy. And that is what's going to prevent you from mental burnout, but also just like physical burnout as well. Because maybe you are someone who's like, okay, my priorities are work and health, but we don't take time for the life piece to kind of slow down and rest. Your body is going to get super fatigued. You're going to feel weighed down. It can also help like emotional resilience, because if we're kind of in that go, go, go mood again, then we learn to not handle stress effectively, because our body is constantly always running on stress. That cortisol is always pumping out. And eventually your body's like, you are just always stressed out. So we don't even know how to balance you anymore.
Yeah.
And it takes the idea of that cortisol being released because we're about to die. We need to sustain life. And that's important when we are in a life or death situation. But it's not as important when we have a to-do list that's really long. Like, we're not going to die from our to-do list type of thing. I mean, we could if we don't pay attention to ourselves.
Right? Death by to-do list.
Yes. So it is going to prevent that burnout, which then it's also going to enhance your productivity and focus, because you are going to be more efficient when you find this balance. And I feel like pretty much every round of metabolism makeover, or like everyone I work with, we get to week 4, I would say, and everyone's like, it was going really good, but then I just got really overwhelmed with trying to do everything. And I think this really bites us in our butt when we feel like we have to do every single thing within 4 weeks, or like learn how to do all these things within a short amount of time. We just have to add habits on slowly and then become super efficient with that. Instead of always feeling like you're having to add on to your life, just think about how you can shift your time. Like, instead of adding on, how can you just use your time differently? And that's going to make a difference for you.
Yeah. And I think that's important. Like, looking at your day-to-day life, and number one, seeing, okay, not the mindset of what are all these things I need to add in, but take things you're already doing, shift them to make them work better for you, habit stack, see what you can take out, and also see, like, we had when we did the shift workers episode, talking about how like you can have different like schedules on different days. Like, if you're someone who works really long days, 10, 12 hours, you probably shouldn't be trying to fit it all in anyways. And that's okay. But if you're trying to work 12-hour shifts and then mimic someone you're seeing on the internet who doesn't work 12-hour shifts, you're going to feel really burnt out and really overwhelmed. And then that's when you self-sabotage. And it's like, well, I can't lose weight or get healthy because my job. But, you're probably always going to have some sort of job, right? So yeah, how can I shift it to make it work for myself? So I think number one is assessing your priorities and really deciding, what is it that's important to me? And whenever I'm working with a client, I work with a lot of weight loss clients, obviously. Yeah, their priority may be to lose weight. Like, maybe they want to be losing weight, but I don't have that be the only thing that is a priority to them. It's, how do you want to feel? How do you want your energy to be? How do you want to wake up and, feel in your body? Or how do you want to feel, going about your day? That's what we're going to focus on, because that's going to make it easier for you to make choices and decisions based off of that. Because I think people get overwhelmed with that. I just want to lose weight. And then they're like, well, I've been trying to lose weight, and so it doesn't matter. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And like, once we're in that mindset, and this was the conversation that got brought up with one of my clients on Friday, where she's like, I know I really need a strength train. She's on Ozempic. She's like, I know we've talked about this for 3 weeks in a row, and I know I need to strength train at least 2 times a week. She's like, I don't know what it is. I can't do it. She's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not motivated. Like, okay. Have you strength trained in the past? She's like, yeah, I would go to the gym for a couple months, and then I would get off the gym for a couple months and not do it. And then I'd get back on and get back off. I'm like, okay. So how does that make you feel when you go from months with working out and then you fall off track and then you go months without working out? You feel like failure. Well, it's going to be harder to get back in with something if the whole time your brain is telling you you are going to fail at this. So understanding that we don't just have to think in this black and white thinking of, I'm going to do this to lose weight.
Mhm.
because it's not helpful. Like, yes, losing weight is a perfectly fine goal. It is totally fine to want to change your body, change the way it looks, even if it is for vanity reasons. But
Mhm.
having reasons outside of that, and you maybe think, I don't have any other reason besides I just want to be 130 pounds. Trust me, you do. Like, what does that number even mean to you? I'm
Yeah.
gonna give you a scale that says 130 pounds no matter what. Now tell me, like, what else do you feel with that?
Yeah.
So you have to think beyond this. And you kind of mentioned like setting your priorities. I actually talked about this on my stories last week. When setting priorities is something that I had to kind of refocus on because I am the type of person who gets excited about things and goes like all in with it on that same day. And then all of a sudden, I have purchased 5 courses and I haven't finished one because I'm so worried about finishing all 5 of them. I was like, which one do I just need to do right now? And then I can work my way through them one at a time instead of doing like an hour on this one, 30 minutes on this one, and just being all over the place. So take time, like write out a list of everything that you need, want to do. Not that you should do. What do you need? What do you want to do that is going to give you the life you want?
Mhm.
And then maybe go back through that list and kind of give them timestamps. Like this needs to be done by October. This needs to be done by January, whatever it is. And then you go through and say, okay, if I need to do this by October and this in January, the January one's probably low priority. And I think oftentimes we're like, oh yeah, I'm pretty good at prioritizing. I prioritize everything. Like, well, that's not the goal. We're not prioritizing every single thing.
Mhm.
Have to be able to kind of identify the core areas of your life. Like think about your work and your career, your family, your relationships, your health, your personal development, your finances. These are all your areas that we kind of need to put that focus in. And then clarify your values, like what truly matters to you, what brings you satisfaction, what do you want to achieve, not only just like work life, but with your personal life and your family. What are your non-negotiables? And it's okay if they're different than ours. That's kind of the whole point of being human beings and not robots. We're all different. So being able to understand what is important to you, because doing an Ozempic course may be important to me, but it's probably not important to the layman's person because you hire people to guide you in your health journey.
Yeah.
My job is to guide you in your health journey. So we have different things we value, different things we're interested in. I am not interested in a finance course.
Yeah. I should.
I should be. I don't want to be.
I had that talk. I had that talk with a client actually the other day. It was in the outpatient setting I work in. And she was like, tell me how to make this important to me. I don't know what I should care about. I don't know what I should focus on. I don't know anything about nutrition. All I know is I feel this way in my body and I don't want to feel this way anymore. And I can't figure out what I need to do. Right. And then we're like talking and, at the end of it, she's like, wow, this has been so helpful. You've kind of helped to guide me and help me just focus on like what it is I need to do. And she was like, I wish like it was always this easy. And she like is a tax person and like does books for people. And I was like, well, what are you telling you? I should probably now switch seats with you and have you kind of chat with me about what the heck I should be doing for taxes because I don't know anything, I was like, exactly. People think I want to get healthy or I want to lose weight. And it's like, I should just know what I should be doing. And that's not how it is, which is why we're constantly telling people like, work with someone to help you, even if it's just to quiet the noise, have accountability, have someone to literally map out like, this is what you need to do. And this work-life balance is something I have everyone really do. Like, think about what's important to me. What do I want in my life? What really fills my cup in all aspects, not just what are all the things I need to do. Cause I think it very, very easy turns into like a to-do list. But no, like add stuff in there that you want to do. Like how much time during the day do you want to be spending with your significant other or your kids, or you want to be pouring into your own like education on something you want to learn about, or where do you want to travel, like how do you want your whole life to be, and then we can figure out how to make this work. And I think sometimes people are like, why is that important? It's important because you are constantly balancing all of this
Mm-hmm.
every day and
Yes.
not as well as you want to be, which is why most people are frustrated.
I've been reading the book Girl Stop. I think it's Girl Stop Apologizing. And she had talked about priorities and she's like, if you had a dinner date with like Ryan Reynolds, for example, I don't remember who she gave, but in my head I'm like, if it was Ryan Reynolds, I wouldn't skip that.
Yeah.
So if you had a dinner date with whoever you would want to go to have dinner with, you would do anything in your power to not miss that dinner. Or even if it's things like you're the only person to pick up your kids, like you make whatever work to go pick up your kids, because if you don't, you can't just leave them stranded at school for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So those are like priorities. Taking things that are important to you or that you want to be important, treat them the same way. Working out, for example, it's often one that goes on the back burner because like Monday night comes around, the long day, stressed out. Oh, I didn't get to that workout. We'll do it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, tomorrow's a little stressful, a little crazy. We'll do it tomorrow. And it constantly just gets pushed back. You're not going to call Ryan Reynolds and be like, can we just do that tomorrow type of thing?
Oh, not gonna miss that opportunity.
Yeah, you're going to make it work. So being able to establish what is as important to you as a dinner with Ryan Reynolds is going to allow you to help identify, okay, what really is my priority? What is really going to make me feel good? And you might be thinking, okay, well, I hate working out, so obviously that's not my priority. Okay, why do you hate working out? Break down that. And I mean, that can go in a whole nother conversation, but
Oh, yeah.
just identifying why these things that you feel like you need, want to do, aren't getting done. Like, what are the thoughts that come up with it? And that's going to help you understand what areas do I actually need to address here.
Yep.
Do I hate working out because I feel like a failure because every time I've tried, I give up? Okay, well, you're going to try like hell well, you're just not going to give up now. It's just going to be a part of your life. And that's just it. And it may not always be exciting. You're probably not going to always want to go downstairs and work out. But if you want to achieve your goals, if you want to get to be the person who works out every week and you want to be this active person, you have to make yourself that active person.
Exactly. And I think a really good eye opener thing to help you do this with whatever it is, because most people's reason is, and again, we could have a whole episode on this. Most people's reason is, I don't have time. That's going to be a reason for a lot of things. It's going to be a reason for why you didn't take a walk, why you didn't get outside, why you didn't make room for fun, why you can't go to bed, or
meal plan.
Yeah, why you can't meal plan, why you can't work out. So I like to have people do a little time audit, and it seems really tedious, but I'm telling you, it is an eye opener to see, what am I doing with all of my time from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. And I want people to clue on the time that you scroll on your phone, the time that you are sitting in your car, the times that you're doing things that you probably don't realize you're doing. Like, I want you to realize how long you're spending time on things that they don't give you what you need, because that's the first thing to see, like, okay, how much time do I really have throughout the day? What am I doing? Where am I spending that time? And then you can get a little bit intentional with like, well, I don't know if I need to be spending 4.5 hours scrolling on my phone, a combined 4.5 hours. I probably could fit in a 20-minute walk, or I probably could, throw some vegetables in the air fryer, or I probably could, I actually could go to bed an hour earlier, right? Or I guess I did have an hour to go somewhere with my kids, or you know what I mean? And no one does this for you. You need to be your own adult in your life, or get someone to help you do that. But hold your own self accountable to, where am I spending my time? And is that a reflection of where I want to be spending my time? Or am I still stuck in that rut of, I can't do all these things because I don't have time? And then bam, it's in your face. It's like, well, you could. And this goes for everyone. And I know everyone is busy. And this is for, if you're someone listening to this and you're like agitated by this moment, I would say you probably more than anyone need to do the time audit, because it is a really good reflection of, okay, what am I doing with my time? Where is it going? And not to say, oh, you're just going to find all this free time, but you're probably going to have some eye openers of like, wow, I didn't realize I was spending this much extra time after work still working, or I was spending so much time doing whatever it is. I need to readjust that, because I actually don't want to be working as much as I'm working, or I don't want to be, whatever it is. It feels uncomfortable, but in order to balance it, you have to feel uncomfortable, because you have to hold yourself to like, okay, am I really keeping myself in check here?
That's 100% true. Like, no one's going to do this for you. You can hire all the people in the world. You can hire a life coach. You can hire whoever it is that you feel like you need. But you have to always put in the work too. We are not your robot controllers. I don't know. But
Yeah.
as you're doing this time audit too, like, you have to compare it with your values and goals. Are you spending too much time on things that are not aligning with your priorities? And I think I've noticed this conversation pop up a lot with moms, especially, and I've kind of noticed it for myself, is at the end of the day, we feel like we just need that me time. Like, baby goes to bed and it's like, I just need to like mindlessly scroll.
Yeah,
And I
it
felt
didn't melt my
myself doing
brain.
it. Yeah. But then I'm like an hour later, I'm super tired. I didn't sleep well. And I was like, it does, and I don't really feel that productive anyways. So now I go to bed when he goes to bed, to be quite honest. We go to bed at the same time because that is what's going to help me get the best sleep I can. Scrolling Facebook really doesn't have any benefits for me. And I used to kind of excuse it in a way by being like, okay, my job is part of it is content creation on Instagram. So I'd be like, I have to scroll Instagram to see what's going on in the world. No, you don't. You really don't, even if your job is through social media. So I definitely miss me time. And even if like once he does start going to bed a little bit earlier and sleeping longer, and I do have more time, that's just like to me or me and Josh, not feel like me time just has to be like mindless. Like me time can be, I'm gonna get myself ready for tomorrow. I'm gonna prep my breakfast. I'm gonna go work out. I'm gonna go read a book. Like, can your me time be more productive? And
Yeah.
that
Or even like, can your me time fill your cup? You know, and I mean, I'm totally guilty of that too, like the mindless scrolling. And yeah, it's very easy as someone who works on the internet to be like, this is work time, you know, and I've had to be like, well, I actually don't want to be working late at night when my kids go to bed. So maybe that shouldn't be my scroll to look for content time, which then turned into me making way less content. So that's something I need to manage over here. Don't worry about 2 courses to help me with that. I haven't started that. When you were talking about the courses the other day in your story, I was like, oh my God, it's me.
yeah.
You know,
You just
we
get so excited. You want to do all the things, you want to research. And I think it's very much our type A personality. And I think a lot of people that listen to our podcast, I think a lot of you can relate to this, where we just want to do everything. We want to know everything.
want to do it. And it's like, oh, you know why I'm not being successful? Because I don't have enough tools. And yes, you do. And I'm constantly telling people this. And I feel like I'm looking in a mirror, like, yes, you do. So if stress management is something that's hard for you, or making room for fun is hard for you, I would say that me time, you need to be doing that. You need to be either setting yourself up, so doing something productive, like, yeah, prepping your lunch for the next day, or taking a hot bath and doing some breath work, right? Filling your cup, or actually like having a conversation with your significant other, like a connection time. Like, it's so easy to fall into the me time rut, but almost every single mom I work with is like, I hate that I do that. I hate that I do that. And when you do the productivity thing, you'll see like, oh my God, I'm doing that for like 3+ hours in the evening. Like, that's so much time. Why am I doing that? You know, and it just kind of, it shows you so that you can better prioritize. And then I would say, once you have kind of established, like, this is what I want to be doing. Well, this is what I'm doing with my time. This is what I want to be doing with my time. Doing something like time blocking can help. So, I mean, there's a ton of free apps, but just going like, I'm going to schedule time in for myself. And there's been times where I have to get so tedious with it, like literally 15 minutes. I'm prepping my lunch for these 15 minutes, or I'm doing this for this 15 minutes, or like, this is where I'm putting this time. And then you get those constant reminders of like, oh, this is what you're supposed to be doing right now. And it kind of just helps you build those habits. And once you prove to yourself, I can do the things that I want to do, it becomes easier to like build on
And
instead of
not
just being very overwhelmed.
And not always feeling like that prepping your lunch, for example, is just something you have to do to lose weight. Because again, it's that black and white thinking where prepping your lunch is going to make your mornings go a lot smoother. So then your day is less chaotic. When it's less chaotic, you're going to be more focused throughout the day. You're going to have more brain power to get through the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a trickling effect. So I think sometimes we view all of these parts to building healthy habits as just like another job or something we just dread doing. Like,
Yeah.
but that really is me time. That really is taking care of yourself. And you're going to thank yourself later. So not going into like, oh, I have to prep my lunch type of
Yeah.
thing. Okay, we're gonna prep the lunch so that tomorrow's a lot easier.
Yeah. And I would say when you're doing stuff like that, do a little check and balance. Like, what does, planning my meals up for the week do for me? Well, it makes me less stress in the evening. So I have a little bit more patience with my kids when they get home, or it frees up time to where instead of me cooking a big dinner, I've already kind of prepped most of it. And that gives me the free time to just kind of hang out, or like we can go a little extra to the park, or we can go do whatever we were going to do, and just thinking like, yeah, this does help me reach my goals. But more than that, it actually makes me feel really good. I'm less stressed. I feel more supported. I'm less anxious. I'm just like an overall, I feel more set up so that I can enjoy my life, take a breath because we're busy,
Mhm.
so thinking about it that way instead of, oh gosh, another thing I have to do. I look at it as if I meal prep, that actually frees up so much time during my week. Like if I meal prep, I'm saving time that I would be to actually go and make my lunch every day or to drive and go get lunch or whatever it is. I'm saving time. I'm also saving money, but I'm saving time so that, and then kind of really reflect on like when I make these changes, how do I feel? Like, how do I feel when I force myself to take a lunch break walk? How do I feel when I decide to stop scrolling and I get in bed an hour earlier? And then it's not so much like I have to do all these things for weight loss or to be healthy. It's just I choose to do these things because I feel really good in my body because nobody wants to feel like crap,
Mhm.
but we get stuck thinking like we can't feel good because we don't have a life that other people have when in fact we just need to learn to balance what it is we're doing. And this is something you always have to check in with yourself on.
Or we get stuck in the shoulds. Like, I should be working out. I should. So then it's almost like you're taking away your own control. And I think finding this balance, not only it's going to boost your confidence, it's going to give you back that sense of control because you're like, I am making these choices for me, not
Yeah.
doing it because Bailey and Brianna said so. I'm doing it because this is what I actually want to do. And I have found that's where I used to be as well. It's like I had to work out because that's what I was teaching. I had to eat this way because if I didn't, like, someone's gonna look at me funny. They're gonna be like, what's going on? Where once I flipped that to be like, I actually really enjoy walks. Like when I took out the I should be doing this type of thing, I was like, I actually enjoy this. I enjoy
I
walking.
want to do it. I want to take a walk.
Yes.
It's very different.
Yeah. And then it didn't make making meals so annoying. I was like, okay, this is actually kind of fun. Like then I just shared what I eat because number one, it's actually just like what I'm eating. So it's it's easier to do because I took that pressure off. And then it's helping a lot of people be like, okay, that's all you did for dinner. I'm like, yes, that's all I did because I don't like to cook. So
Yeah.
it helps people as well to be realistic. So yeah, I think overall, just take your control back and breaking down your barriers to finding that balance, like not giving yourself excuses. But I also think excuses can be valid. So asking yourself, are they valid? Are they not so valid? And
Mm-hmm.
if they're not valid, why do you keep giving yourself that same excuse?
Mm-hmm.
And then set your expectations, but make them realistic. Challenge yourself, but also like let's not be like, I'm gonna be a millionaire by the end of the year. It's
Yeah.
probably not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's me.
It's realistic.
Exactly. Don't try, and that's what I think I need people to really take from this is the not making excuses for yourself. So giving yourself a little tough love, but that's easier when you are realistic. So don't be looking at someone else's life and be like, that's exactly what I need to be doing. It's not. So be realistic with yourself. And then hold yourself accountable, however that looks. Maybe have a conversation with a friend of like, this is something I'm really wanting to do, or just putting it out there. Like, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I want to do. This is important to me. Maybe that's with your spouse or your partner or your best friend or a coworker, so that you can kind of have some accountability so that people can kind of gently remind you, like, hey, I thought you were doing this, I thought, or just you need someone to kind of be like, yeah, I'll go walk with you or whatever it is, but hold yourself accountable, even if that's just finding a mantra, reminding yourself of it, and remembering that I'm doing this because I want to. I'm not doing this because I'm being forced to. I'm doing this because I actually want to have that balance and I want to feel really good in all the areas of my life. I want to know how to have fun and work and be healthy. I want to do this, not I should or I need to, and
Mhm.
then setting the boundaries where you need to. But it's a baby step thing. Like and I think if you're an all or nothing thinker, these are the people that struggle with it the most because it's like, all right, this is my plan tomorrow. This is new me,
Script.
new me. This is exactly the brand new person I'm going to be. And just know, like, probably not. So baby step it and it's okay. As long as
Yeah.
you're consistent, because that's it. It's that managing, being consistent, not I woke up and I'm a brand new person with a whole new life. And now I can just achieve all the things.
Literally, you can start after you listen to this episode. Start with one thing. Start with making your priority list. You don't have to even wait till tomorrow. And you're going to feel so much better just going into your next day, too. So that was part one. Part one of getting, maybe we should just call it get your shit together.
Yeah, get your shit together. And know that we say it to ourselves too. I say that to myself almost daily. Like, get your shit together. What are you doing?
Doing.
what are you doing? Sometimes I get off a really good call with a client and I'm like, dang it. That was such good advice. Get your shit.
Wow, look at me go.
Hold on. Let me go record that and like look at myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Part one of the foundation of your work-life health balance. We talked about why balance is so essential, how to assess your priorities, and breaking down those barriers. And then next week, we will be coming back with part two about how to manage health in your busy lifestyle.
Yep.
You're going to get different advice. All right,
Foundation,
everyone.
how to build on it.
Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.